How's everybody doing?
Ready?
Yep.
Calvin Watkins, Dallas Morning News. How do you prepare for Micah Parsons and all those pass rushers they got in Green Bay?
I think the same way you prepare for any other team that's got several elite rushers on it. You got to just make sure that all your I's are dotted and your T's are crossed, and be very mindful of your matchups and try to put yourself in position where you're not one-on-one unnecessarily. Although just a math game, they have the ability to make you do that. But obviously, they've got rushers that we know very well, and a lot of other teams in the NFL do too. So you got to plan it the same way you always do.
How difficult will this week be for you because you got to juggle the offensive line and then you don't have CD. You got to make some decisions there at wideout.
I mean, that's just life in the NFL. Nobody cares about your injuries, and you're expected to play good. And because of that, we expect the players in the room, when they get their opportunity, to play well. And that's something that I've always believed in, is you got to coach the entire room, because at some point all of them are playing once you cut down to 53. So even the practice squad guys, I want to say last year in Arizona we had 3 or 4 different guys that weren't active on the roster and ended up starting games. So when they go in there, they got to play good. This is professional football, so there can't be a drop-off. And do you try to find ways to help those guys? Certainly, but it's a little bit like not watching the injury report from the other team because somebody else is going to go in there and do a good job. Our guys need to go in there and do a good job. We expect them to.
Todd Archer with you. It's been different players at different strengths. Do you have to play now to what Hoffman and TJ do better than what maybe Booker and did I say it right? I forgot what I said. Do you have to play different with Hoffman and Bass than you do with Beebe and Booker?
Perhaps on a micro scale. I think in general, you look at the offense, as kind of its own living being and saying, like, this is what this unit does good, and so the pieces that go in need to be able to perform those things. And then I think that there's minor adjustments you can make where you say, well, we have the ability to do these 2 things within this play. This guy maybe doesn't do this as well as the other guy, but he does this well. So I think that probably any tweaks that you're making are pretty minor.
Pickens, can you speak to the opportunity that is in front of him now with CD out, and he, I guess, theoretically moves over a seat a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, he'll probably be getting a little bit more attention in regards to coverage. So, the opportunity is obviously there for him, but it's there for the other guys too. So, where there's a certain amount of balls that probably get spread out between CD and GP, now the other guys in the room, just like the offensive linemen that are starting that weren't starting previously, this is their opportunity to do something, and we expect them to play at a really high level for us.
Joe Hoyt, Dallas Morning News. It's been said that a way to stop an elite pass rusher is to run at him. Do you subscribe to that idea?
Yeah, I've always felt that way. But, there comes a time when if you want to win a game or you want to win a championship, like I've always said this about quarterbacks when you're evaluating them in the draft, is there's guys that can be super elite on first and second down, but to win a championship, there's going to come a time where you have to throw. So, yeah, I think that there's ways to do that, to answer your question, but ultimately when the game's on the line, you're going to have to pass protect and you're going to have to win. So that's what you have to be able to prepare for.
And we're 3 weeks into you being in the booth for the first time. Have you noticed any perks of that, or any ways to maybe see looks or adjustments that having the eagle eye view helps in that regard?
Yeah, I'm definitely feeling a lot more comfortable than I was, when we're at preseason number 1, starting to kind of define my rollout of, like, all right, especially when you're on the sideline with the surface, you're just kind of scrolling through pictures and trying to show guys stuff really fast. When you have kind of the opportunity in between series, when I was on the sideline, I was always talking to the guys. In between series now, I'm looking through the call sheet and talking to the head coach, but there's sometimes where he goes over on defense and I get to actually look at those pictures, and there's a lot of things you can do with that thing that I had no idea. So I'm learning in that way, and certainly definitely feeling more comfortable.
Like what? What have you learned?
Just some things I can do on that Microsoft Surface. Like you can sort things different ways. There's several different views that they have on there. There's just a lot of features that I didn't understand, and maybe they're new ones that they've added this year. But
Nick Harris, 4-Star Telegram. Opportunity for Turpin to take an even more step forward offensively. In your time here and being able to get him more integrated offensively, how ready do you think he is for an opportunity like this?
no, he's 100% ready. He's kind of the straw that stirs the drink out there. He is in a way that's probably a little bit hard to understand from the outside looking in. Like he's got a lot of really positive leadership qualities to him. He's a connector. He's a guy that everybody on the team wants to talk to, and he's walking around and high-fiving guys and talking to guys, and could be a practice squad D lineman. Terp's talking to him, so he has a positive impact on us when he's on the field. From a physical perspective, for sure, because he's so talented. But he's built kind of a little leadership role for himself, and so I'm always excited to watch him play every week. He's exciting to me.
And with Jake Ferguson second in the NFL in receptions, how can you maximize more his yards per reception? If that makes sense?
Some of that is just kind of the way that some of the games have gone, where he's the defense is punching out, and whatever he's been assigned to do on that play, he's kind of the check down option, almost like a running back would be. There's always, depending on the coverages that you're seeing, there's ways to get him higher in the rank of where the progression is starting. He just hasn't gotten as many of those balls. And I think that probably when you're catching more of them as a tight end, usually they're underneath things.
Garrett Podell, CBS Sports. Clayton, Javonte Williams, pretty high yards per carry average to start the year. Kind of, what have you seen from him? And it seems like even though the carry distribution's been kind of similar, do you feel like there gets to be a point where there's an approach change and maybe he gets a little bit more separation in terms of his touches?
The funny thing is, I think that's what we've been trying to do. Is he has been the number one guy, and Miles has been the guy that's spelling him and doing a nice job of it. And he's done, like I said, he's done well when he's gone in there. It's just sometimes the way that a drive works out. If you're starting the drive with him because hey, we want to get to this early in a drive because we feel like he runs it the best, and then you go on an 8 or 9 play drive and it's time to spell him. Sometimes you're in the red zone, or there's a couple carries that happen after that. I think it's been more of a happening, I guess, is what I'm saying, than truly the way that we've intended that rotation to go. But yeah, he's done an awesome job. I look forward to watching him play more.
Sky Dixon with the AP. I'm assuming it wasn't on your training camp bingo card that you would be game planning against Micah in September. Game planned against him before, but what's the sudden change been like for you?
Like I said, with the first question there, it's there's I don't know, I want to say every team has a player like that because he's certainly an elite player and unique and all that, but we go into most of these games having to try to figure out how you're going to block so-and-so, and that's what most defenses, I think, are trying to figure out. So I don't know that it's that different with him than it is with a lot of the great elite pass rushers out there.
And from your perspective, with your linemen, what do you think it's like for them? I would assume most of those guys are they never imagined they'd be trying to block Micah outside of practice.
I honestly don't know. And maybe some of that is because I haven't been here for a long time with the entire group, and so I don't really know what the dynamic was. But our messaging to them every week, regardless of who we're playing, is it's really more about us than it is anybody else.
Tommy Arsh, Cowboys.com. How would you evaluate your tackles through 3 weeks in pass protection?
I'd say kind of similar to what I said about TG last week when we had that talk, is like there's good things and then there's some inconsistent play. And so ups and downs, I guess, is probably the best way to characterize it. A lot of stuff that we're working on. I'd say we've probably been a little bit better in the run game than we've been in pass protection.
Coach Ali Jawad, DLS Cowboys. More on Javonte Williams. Through 3 weeks, he's averaged, against defenses, just under 7 defenders in the box the first 3 weeks on average. This week, though, no CeeDee Lamb. Do you feel like that number could go up, especially knowing you're against one of the top run defenses in the league this week?
Yeah, I could see that number going up for sure, which is a good challenge for us to, what are ways that we can try to thin that out? How do we make the math work for us? Is there ways that we can move that guy out of there with motion? Those are all things that you go into. I always think you go into a game saying we're going to see the maximum amount of defenders possible, and we've got to make sure that we're able to handle that with motion and splits and things like that, putting our guys in position to block those guys, or we're trying to move those guys. And then when you don't, if you get into a situation where you don't see some of those looks, then it's gravy from there.
We'll finish up with Nick.
What have you liked about TJ Bass in your time with him?
TJ Bass is very athletic. He's probably one of our better pullers. He's got what I would call good range. He gets out in space and he's able to connect and make blocks in space, which is kind of a unique thing that you can't teach. And he's physical on contact when he's out running.
Thanks, Coach.
Yep.
Thank you.